Now, to Sakina we go. Suspended National Deputy Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya returns to the stand at the Madlanga Commission in Pretoria this morning. General Sibiya will continue facing cross-examination on his conduct regarding the disbandment of the political task team. So Sakina and Canny Maphanga are out in Pretoria. Let me hand it over to Sakina.
Well, thanks so much, Leanne. And of course, he is appearing today, General Sibiya, for the fourth and final day. And as I'm speaking to you, I can see some vehicles just behind Kwazi's camera coming in. And if that door remains open, because they generally do tend to shut it, I'll be able to tell you who actually is alighting from that vehicle. But Canny, just getting back to what we spoke about, the concessions that had to be made by Sibiya, and very interesting discussion that I just had with Madlanga about the governance aspects of what is going on within the South African Police Service. Very interesting when you start connecting the dots, but also not forgetting the witness if it was, who the Commission would have loved to have completed his evidence before getting General Sibiya in the hot seat, but that didn't quite go to plan. So how much of an impact has that had on what we've heard so far?
Indeed. Good morning to you, Sakina, and to the viewers once again. Well, witness F's evidence, we expected from the pattern that it was taking in the first 2 days that we saw him, and that they were able to establish that he at least showed a trend of being an alleged middleman, because he was a common denominator in all the transactions that dealt with Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya and another individual, whether it be an alleged cartel member or an alleged shadowy figure. So what follows, or what is expected to have continued there, is that the evidence would have likely showed more instances where that would have taken place, and then it would have given us meaning as to what he was doing that day on the CCTV footage at the home of alleged cartel member Katiso Katie Milefe, showing up for a short space of time and leaving with a bag. One could only reach the conclusion or come to the suggestion that allegedly he may have been there on behalf of Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya, because of the kind of figure Sibiya is. He couldn't quite show up at a residence like that, and CCTV footage is there and you can actually capture something like that. So that kind of evidence would have been crucial, significant to hear before he comes to the probe. However, that doesn't negate the evidence that is already there against him in light of these alleged cartel members and the alleged interference and the alleged interest in these PKTT dockets. You may remember when Kwanazi testified earlier, he said that they mistook the investigations or operations as that of the PKTT instead of understanding it as counterintelligence, doing the investigations with the support of the PKTT, which is why he believes the PKTT was targeted, because he alleges that by closing or disbanding that particular unit, they thought they would then kill off those investigations into alleged cartel members that ran the risk of also implicating them as high-ranking SABC officials.
The evidence leader, Advocate Adila Hasim, also putting it to General Sibiya on Friday that he seemed hell-bent on basically destroying or casting aspersions on the work that was done by the PKTT.
It's quite interesting to watch Lieutenant General Sibiya claim to have no knowledge of the work of the PKTT, specifically what they were investigating in their dockets. But in the same breath, he turns around and tries to advance that the work of the PKTT was dormant and that these cases had been going for quite some time without any work. But then the question is, it's either you knew or you didn't know what was in those dockets. And if you did know what was in those dockets, which is what we can suggest because of the extent to which he tried to push to the Commission that the investigations were dry anyway, they were dormant, there was nothing taking place with those particular investigations, which is something that was discredited, because in some of those cases the PKTT only got them in the year of 2019, for example, and had started working from then. So it wouldn't be fair to date a case back to its original case number when the PKTT only got its hands on it. But it speaks to the kind of interest he had in the work of the PKTT. And again, the question remains, why. What was it about the PKTT and its work that garnered the interest of a high-ranking SABC official that doesn't really deal with the work of the PKTT? Why was it of such interest in him to get sight of those PKTT dockets, even though he claims he never saw a single PKTT docket? It is clear that some form of inspection audit took place, and through that he was able to get some knowledge of what the PKTT was investigating. And of course, it opens up the greater question as to what was the motive behind ensuring that this particular team does not thrive in its work, and that its dockets were nestled there in Pretoria for some time and left their work pretty much dormant and not doing anything for at least 3 months, we're hearing, in their investigation. So Sibiya is going to still have quite a difficult time. He's going to have several other questions he needs to answer to. I know he's tried to discredit witnesses' recording, stating that it didn't go through the necessary forensics in order for it to be something that can be used against him as evidence. However, we know that the context of that audio was that Vusimuzi Cat Matlala had just been arrested and he was spilling the beans after he felt that he got played in light of the monetary benefits he allegedly had given to certain individuals, and now he's finding himself in a position where he's now arrested.
So, day 4, and it promises to be as interesting as we've heard over the past 3 days already of the testimony of Lieutenant General Shadrack Sibiya.